Election day is here in Denver, and today voters will choose 3 new city council members as well as the new mayor, of course, like we've been talking about. Mike Johnson and Kelly Bruff are the 2 mayoral candidates on your ballot. So far, more than 100,000 voters have returned their ballots. That is less than a quarter of total voters. You do have until 7 o'clock tonight to turn in your ballot, either in person or by putting that in your ballot drop box. Again, you can vote in person until 7 o'clock tonight as well.
Denver election workers are already scanning those ballots that have been turned in early. Even though there are ballot machines, the election workers still supervise, so the process really can take a while. You might remember in April, it took days to learn who made the runoff. During that election, almost half of Denver voters waited until Election Day to vote. We'll have coverage all day long here at 9 News, bringing you updates live as those votes come in. And tomorrow on 9 News Mornings, Anusha Roy will join us to break down the results of the election and what it all means for the city.
And as we wrap up this election here in Denver, the race for the White House is getting more crowded. Today, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is expected to announce that he is running. He would be the 10th Republican to join the race. Yesterday, former Vice President Mike Pence filed his paperwork to run. He'll be challenging his old boss, former President Donald Trump, and a third-party candidate is joining the race as well. Philosophy professor, historian, and political activist Cornel West is running as part of the People's Party. West is known for his progressive activism, public commentary, as well as writing.
It's 6:03 right now, and the mother of a 6-year-old who shot his teacher in Virginia earlier this year will face federal charges. Prosecutors say Deja Taylor lied about using marijuana when she bought the handgun last year. Taylor was also indicted on separate child neglect and endangerment charges earlier this year. The teacher, Abigail Zwerner, was critically injured. The boy shot her in the chest and the hand. Zwerner filed a $40 million lawsuit claiming school administrators ignored warnings that the boy had a gun and patterns of concerning behavior. The district said those issues should have been a workers' comp claim. Prosecutors say the boy will not be charged.
Right now, police in Denver are investigating a shooting at an apartment building near Coors Field. One person was hurt, and the building now has tons of bullet holes in it. The shooting happened at the Cortland on Blake at 24th Street in Blake. Police say there was some kind of gathering in one of the apartments before shots were fired, but people who lived there want more information. They say the only information they got when the shooting happened was one tweet from the Denver Police Department. Building management sent an email to residents saying the trouble started with a former associate and that they have taken necessary action.
Right now, doctors are comparing gun violence in the U.S. to a deadly illness. According to the Gun Violence Archive, this weekend alone, nearly 100 people died from shootings in the U.S. In total, more than 18,000 people have been shot and killed so far this year. Gun violence is the leading cause of death of kids in the U.S. The federal government is calling it a public health crisis, and some pediatricians say they're tired of not having concrete solutions.
To you, gun violence is a disease.
Yes, and the country is the victim in this case. We know gun violence is preventable, and yet we keep focusing on treating the aftermath.
Community leaders in the Denver metro area are also really concerned about a rise in youth violence right now. Last week, teens were involved in 3 separate shootings, and now leaders are worried more of this will happen with schools out for the summer.
Days are long, the temperatures are hotter, and it's not just youth, it's the American psyche. We have a country where everyone has a firearm. Firearms are easy to get a hold of.
So let's take a look at some of those numbers. From 2021 to 2022, violent crimes involving juvenile suspects increased by 22% in Aurora. In Denver last year, the number of young crime victims increased by 53%. Advocates we talked to say the increase in violence stems from mental health problems from the pandemic, gang influence, and availability of guns.
One group says they have a solution to gun violence, banning guns, but the governor says that is too extreme and not constitutional. Organizers and protesters with Here for the Kids held a sit-in at the state capitol. The group is led by former Colorado congressional candidate Syra Rao. They are calling for a total ban on guns and a state buyback program. Governor Jared Polis says it wouldn't be legal for them to do that, though, and the plan doesn't seem to have a whole lot of local support. Protesters said women from Colorado didn't show up to support those who came from out of state. 2 of Colorado's best-known gun control advocates, state senators Tom Sullivan and Rhonda Fields, did not support the movement. In a Denver Post op-ed, they said the protest could create, quote, unrealistic expectations.
Governor Polis is taking some steps to help address teen mental health. He just signed a bill into law creating a mental health assessment in schools. Students from 6th to 12th grade will be screened and referred to a therapist if needed. The bill's sponsor says parents can opt out of the screenings, but if a student is above the age of 12, they can opt back in without their parents' approval. At least 3 rural conservative school districts have said that they will opt out of this program, meaning those districts won't get access to the same mental health services. Students can still apply online to get help.
Denver's police department is getting more than $500,000 for a new fentanyl investigations team. The task force will look into overdose deaths with the hope of finding the dealers. According to data from Denver's medical examiner, fentanyl killed 58 people in 2019, then 244 people in 2022. The department says the money will go to resources like equipment and personnel to investigate those cases and help district attorneys prosecute dealers, something DAs have said that is quite difficult to do.
I have to make sure that I can actually identify the dealer, identify that that dealer sold the drugs that the victim took that actually killed the victim. That's a lot.
A fentanyl law that passed last year created the statewide grant program. Lawmakers allocated $7 million for the program for police to investigate deaths.
All right, one thing that you need to know about your forecast for today is that so far rainfall to date this June 1.81 inches, monthly average 1.94 inches. So it just goes to show you how much rain we've actually had so far this month, and it's going to keep on coming with more rain today and tomorrow.